What is up, folks? Greetings. Welcome to the next installment of Games Bond. Cody, what's up? Space Hoppercopter, Macaw 45, J, and Itinerant Soldier. Man, I can barely speak. The LCC lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're all doing exceptionally well this Wednesday evening. I'm pretty pumped because we are making progress. We're making good progress in our quest to explore the full history of James Bond 007 video games. A handful of people joined me in watching the film The Living Daylights on Discord last night. It was a good time. I had never seen it before, and it was an interesting film for sure. Some good, some bad, entertaining all around. You know, definitely makes me excited to watch License to Kill, which I think, by and large, is the more appreciated of the Timothy Dalton movies. But it also, kind of prematurely, I guess, makes me a little sad. Well, not really premature, it's like 30 years after the fact, but I was gonna say it makes me a little bummed that we didn't get more movies with him, because I think he is an interesting actor, and I think he gives an interesting, if uneven, performance as Bond in The Living Daylights. And I think it's a fairly commonly held opinion that Timothy Dalton was not, you know, he was well cast, but the scripts that he got to work with didn't perhaps fully leverage his best qualities as Bond. That was kind of the impression I got from The Living Daylights anyway. What's up, Ingvars? Lost no time to die, and today instead, hey, works for me. Yeah, like, I think Timothy Dalton has, I mean, he's certainly charismatic, but I think, like, coming off, like, it's interesting because we watched A View to a Kill a little while back, right? And it's the most immediately, what's the word? The one that came immediately before The Living Daylights, and certainly, Timothy Dalton brings a lot of energy to the role that Roger Moore certainly didn't really have in his final entry, but maybe never really had. I mean, I like Roger Moore, and I think he brings a lot of charisma, but there's a certain urgency to, like, Dalton's performance, like the drama and the spy action stuff. Like, there's an intensity that I think makes the character more exciting to watch. But anytime he has to, like, wisecrack or quip or, like, make jokes, it's like it comes across as, like, pretty awkward, because he doesn't, like, not to say that Timothy Dalton isn't charming, but the way he delivers those lines when he's supposed to, like, make a joke or something, it always comes across as a little bit insincere, maybe? I don't know. It doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite land. But, like, honestly, it feels like in the, when Dalton is, like, doing serious spy action drama stuff, like, he brings something totally different to the table than you saw from either, Roger Moore or Sean Connery, for that matter. But whenever he's, like, going for the comedic stuff, I feel like he's, like, trying to emulate Roger Moore or something. Like, he doesn't, you know, you could look at something like Daniel Craig. Like, obviously, you know, everything following Timothy Dalton is kind of, well, I shouldn't say all of it is a more serious take. Certainly some of the Brosnan movies are, like, incredibly goofy, but there was an attempt, like, none of the movies after that have had that, like, 60s or 70s feel. Like, there's a level of goofiness that isn't typically there. Even the goofiest Pierce Brosnan stuff, I feel like, is it wasn't necessarily goofy at the time. It was like, it's just 90s, early 2000s shit that's, like, kind of stupid. But the baseline of, like, having to take Bond sort of seriously as kind of an action, like someone who's physically capable and isn't a complete, like, jokester uncle or whatever. You know, there's kind of a dividing line, I think, between Moore and Dalton. Talking James Bond with Alex Kidd music is a mystical experience. I mean, hey, this is a good soundtrack, I think. In any case, if you look at Daniel Craig, like, I feel like there's comedic moments in his films, but he has kind of a sarcastic sort of delivery to it. Like, he's not like mugging for the camera and making jokes. But there can still be moments of, if not humor or comedy, at least levity. And that's the thing, I feel like Timothy Dalton is so kind of intense that when he makes a quip, it doesn't come across as levity. It's almost like uncomfortable. You know, I was almost gonna say like he's a little bit psychotic. I think that's maybe a little bit of a stretch. But, you know, I feel like you can have a scene in a film where someone like makes a joke, and if you imagine that a similar sort of situation in real life, just like it does in the context of like the movie watching experience, it sort of cuts the tension a little bit. Like it sort of creates breathing room for a bit of, yeah, a bit of levity, I guess. Whereas when Timothy Dalton makes jokes in The Living Daylights, instead of kind of breaking that tension, it almost adds tension, because you're like, you don't quite feel like comfortable laughing. It's just like, that's a bit weird. I don't know. So it kind of makes for a peculiar experience. But that said, I still enjoy the movie. I think it makes for a good video game. There's a lot of kind of action set piece type stuff that you could base video game levels on. And in fact, the game that we're going to be checking out tonight has a whopping 8 levels, which for an 80s computer game, you know, especially if they're all like different, 8 levels is a pretty high number. And the game may very well be quite impossible, but we'll find out. But yeah, with that out of the way, why don't we take a look at a little bit of lore setting the stage for tonight. We will be playing James Bond 007 in The Living Daylights, the computer game. Delightful mouthful of a title there. We are going to be, at least for tonight, primarily be looking at the Commodore 64 version of this game, but it did come out on a number of computer platforms. And some of them, I'm sure I don't really have anything set up for emulating. But we should be able to, before all is said and done, look at least 2 or 3 versions of it. And it seems like they might be quite different, might be fairly similar. We'll hopefully find out. But let's get some details here on this game, shall we? Get this. Boom, there we go. Mission number 5, James Bond 007 in The Living Daylights, the computer game. It's not always easy to find good information on what you may consider to be kind of the superior or main or original version of any of these games. I may have kind of made a vague assumption that the C64 one is kind of the main one. I did look very quickly at the Amstrad CPC version, which looks to have fairly like detailed graphics, which is often but not always, I guess, how you would determine what you might consider to be like the main version or like the most interesting or attractive version. But, you know, you can have games that have, you know, I think there's probably a lot of games that exist on the Amiga and the Commodore 64, where obviously the Amiga version is going to have the edge a lot of the time visually. But that doesn't mean that it's going to play any better than the 64 version. And who knows, maybe this is a similar case. The C64 version, at least from my research, was developed by Sculptured Software. But I believe at least some of the other computer versions were developed by other developers. It was all published by Domark, and it makes sense. I think a lot of the times, in cases like this, you have a license, you have a game you're putting out on 8 different computer platforms. So, you know, it's all work for hire. A company like Domark I don't know if they had any internal development. They might have had some, but they would still definitely outsource a lot of development to... I was going to say developers all around the UK, but Sculptured is not UK-based, are they? I want to say, weren't they like in Salt Lake City? Didn't they become an Acclaim? I know they did stuff for Acclaim. They did a bunch of the like Mortal Kombat ports and stuff. Yeah, I think they might have become Iguana under Acclaim at some point. Because I could be mistaken, but I'm fairly sure Domark is British at least. So it seems a little unusual that you'd have an American company hired to develop something like this, but not entirely unprecedented, I suppose. Guano was Austin, Texas. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm getting it mixed up then, but I think fairly certainly that they became part of Acclaim Salting. Okay, but I wonder if they changed names at some point, because I think some of those studios did, but whatever. It's not really that relevant. Let's see what does the lore say here. The Living Daylights is a side-scrolling action game which features 8 levels of gameplay centered around the Timothy Dalton movie of the same name. Beginning with a training mission in Gibraltar, Bond then assists General Koskov's defection to the west, rescues a Bond girl, fights off henchmen, and takes on an evil weapons dealer. That all checks out. Those are all plot elements in the film. I have learnt my lesson from previous Bond games and determined that most likely for all these games for old computer platforms, consulting the manual may be a necessity. So I do have a PDF of a manual, which appears to be a kind of universal manual for all different versions of the game. It has a kind of reference sheet for controls for all the different versions and everything. But it describes some of the mechanics in the levels and stuff, so we'll go through it and see if we can find the information needed to make our way through the game. Spoiler alert, I did boot this game up previously when I was doing all the research and setup and getting all the games and everything. I did play this a little bit and was not able to finish the first level. But I have since, in my 2 minutes of research here before streaming tonight, learned that there is kind of a key... puzzle is maybe a bit of a stretch, but you need to do a certain thing to beat the level, and that might be a thing in all of them. But hopefully the manual is going to clear that up for us. So let's see if we can take a look at the manual. Give me a second here as I set that up. Let's see. Be this source? Yes. Oh, right. It's a URL. Let's see if this works. I might get a 403. No, it looks like this is gonna work. Boom. There we go. So I guess there's probably a cover of some sort that is not part of this scan. This is just something I found on Internet Archive. So I guess we know what the cover art looks like, so I think we're okay there. Where's the button? There we go. Well, let's see what we can learn about the game. The aim of the game. As James Bond, you must shoot your way through all 8 levels before you at last come face to face with the evil arms dealer, Brad Whitaker. Bit of a spoiler alert there for the movie, but that's fine. General Koskov, the Russian KGB double-dealing agent, helps Bond through his adventure. Watch him closely. He may be treacherous. I like that they say that he's a double agent, so he may be treacherous. Slight spoiler alerts there, but that's fine. I mean, I guess we're going to have to learn some spoilers in order to understand ahead of time what each of the levels are going to be. Luckily, I watched the movie yesterday, so I have no risk for spoiling me, at least. And also, I'm sure the game itself is not going to really make much of the plot very clear if you don't know it already, which is why we're watching the movies before playing these games anyway, because, yeah, I feel like we're going to need some help. Once Whitaker's forces are destroyed, your mission is accomplished and the beautiful Kara is yours. Kara, whatever, the girl. Level 1, Gibraltar. Bond begins his adventure with a test of the defenses on the island of Gibraltar in the Mediterranean. He must watch his wits against the skills of the SAS armed only with a paint pellet gun. After all, it is only a mock battle. Or is it? Could one of the SAS men really be an enemy in disguise? Take care, he's out to kill. So that's... I mean, yes, I guess one of the SAS men could be an enemy in disguise, because it does explicitly say that he is out to kill. Of course, this is what happens in the movie. They're on this training exercise, and one of the people, covertly or not so covertly, brings an actual real gun and assassinates one of the other agents, and gets into, I was gonna say a car chase, not exactly, but he drives off, and Bond wrestles his way into the truck while it is full of literally burning explosives, leading to a pretty good action bit where I think Bond, does he like, I forget, does he like use a parachute or something? I don't know, they're like driving off a cliff. And I think Bond parachutes out of the truck, and then it explodes in midair because of it's full of burning explosives. Pretty good. Let's just check out the full manual ahead of time here, because it's going to be kind of inconvenient and try to go back and forth. We might as well get some hints as to what we may have to look forward to. He parachutes onto a cruise ship. Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, because he makes like a stupid pun. Yeah, no, that's right. There's this bikini babe lounging on her yacht. She's like on the phone with someone, literally complaining about how there's no excitement, there's no hot dudes or whatever. And then Bond parachutes onto her boat, takes her phone, calls HQ, and then like, I'll be back in the office in an hour. Well, actually 2 hours, because I'm probably gonna have to have sex with this bikini babe here first. Peace. And opening credits. It's a pretty good start to the movie. Anyway, level 2. The Lenin People's Music Conservatory. Can you get the Russian defector Koskov away from his KGB guards without injuring any of the music lovers enjoying the show inside? I feel like that should be a question mark, but that's fine. Koskov will follow you, but it is up to you to defend him from the snipers who appear all over the building. Get him out of the area quickly. I feel like it's going to be a theme here that the levels, the basic premise of the scenes are taken from the movie, but they add a few more enemies, which, you know, it's a video game, of course. Level 3, the pipeline. You must smuggle Koskov past the pipe workers and send him on his way down the Trans-Siberian pipeline. Watch out for the Russian guards and the added danger of falling pipes. Oh no. Falling pipes. Okay. Level 4, the mansion house. You have managed to rescue Koskov, but somebody wants him back. They have sent the ruthless killer Necros to snatch him back from the British Secret Service. Disguised as a milkman, he and his friends will try every dirty trick to get Koskov back. Watch out. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's like I said, there's a lot of scenes in the movie that make sense to like make video game levels out of, and it looks like they've kind of nailed it. Level 5, the fairground. You have to meet your fellow agent, but Necros has followed you and has orders to kill. Simple enough. Sounds like a place that might have a lot of innocent bystanders, though. That sounds like it's a mechanic in the game. Level 6, Tangiers. Your mission to find the missing Koskov takes you to the rooftops of Tangiers, where you must battle for your life. Oh, dude, are we going to be in for some rooftop jumping? Jumping between rooftops, one of the top 5 to 10 things that makes any game better by including it. I'm excited. Level 7, the military complex. Trapped in the Afghanistan desert in the middle of a Russian airbase. No problem for 007. Watch out as the enemy release all their forces against you. Can you survive? Level 8, Whitaker's house. You finally meet the mastermind behind the dastardly plot. Brad Whitaker, the American arms dealer and military historian. He unleashes all the power of his arsenal against you, but you must fight on to reach him. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I guess we don't know exactly what level 7 looks like, but based on like the stuff in the movie, I feel like the prison escape, the airbase, like you could have made that one level, and then like the whole big, like it kind of sounds like the big action set pieces when they're like, there's a whole big thing. There's a large like chunk of the movie where like after they escape from the airbase, they get like embedded in this like Afghan rebel camp, and they sneak into this kind of opium deal situation where they're like selling opium to Whitaker, and that leads to Bond like infiltrating. I guess eventually they end up on the plane with all the opium, and then there's like this big fight. But even before they get to that point, there's like a huge battle sequence with like the Afghan rebels and the Russian army guys. So that's like probably where this level is, but it again, it's sort of like 3 separate action scenes in the movie, like escaping from the prison, the like battle leading up to them being on the plane, and then the fight between Bond and Necros on the plane. So that's the only thing that's like a little bit surprising. But again, 8 levels is still a lot, and it still covers. Like, it's kind of funny how like level 1, 2, and 3, that's like even up to level 4, I feel like that's like in the first half hour of the movie, maybe even less. But I mean, you look at stuff like the View to a Kill game that had 3 levels. Having 8 levels covering like this much of the movie is still pretty impressive by any, like, even if for a 90s console game or something, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be this thorough. Like, it wouldn't be too shocking for a 90s movie game to have like, maybe 6 to 8 levels, but then half of them are based on stuff that's like barely in the movie. So I'm pretty excited. Would have been cool if they had a level timer. What? Level timer B, can you fight your way to the plane in time? Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, yeah, they're like, the plane is taking off, so there's this big chase, I guess, for, like, Bond, I guess, is on the plane the entire time, but, the girl has to, like, drive her truck up to the plane or whatever. Then, of course, he has a bomb. There's, like, a bomb hidden inside one of the bags of opium, and then he's supposed to go, like, disarm it, and that's when Necros shows up, because he, like, snuck aboard. And there's a big whole fight, and then they barely, he makes it with 2 seconds to spare or whatever. In any case, it's a movie that has a lot of kind of neat scenes to make video game levels out of, so I'm excited. Like, obviously, unlike A View to a Kill, and probably the reason why they could make 8 levels is that I don't think mechanically they play uniquely, different. It's all kind of the same basic run and gun kind of gameplay. But I'm interested to see what they do with it. Let's see. Oh, dropping stuff from my pockets. That's fine. Controlling Bond. Control the cursor showing where Bond is aiming. The fire button fires Bond weapon at cursor position. More good grammar here. If you press right so that the cursor hits the right side of the screen, then Bond will run in that direction until you release the button. To make Bond jump and duck under flying objects, etc., hold the fire button down while pushing up and down respectively. I don't think that's correct. I think you can just tap diagonally. That seems to be my experience from messing with the game. I don't think you need to press the button to jump or crouch, but maybe it's slightly different in different versions. It's not a shooting gallery game, but it's a pretty interesting. It's a little bit of a mix between like a Cabal or Nom 75 type shooting game, but also like it's scrolling. It's like a game like that, but you have full control over the movement, basically. Like, you have to push onwards to make progress in the level, but you, like, stop to shoot in the background. So, like, a tiny bit like Dick Tracy on the Mega Drive. It's a little bit clunky the way it works from my limited experience, because you have to basically... It's going to be super difficult to avoid taking damage, because a lot of the time, like, an enemy pops up in the background, and you have to, like, stop running and move the cursor all the way over there and shoot him, and then move the cursor back before you can start running. Like, if you had more buttons, so you could have a button or a key to, like, switch between aiming and running, I feel like that would make the game control a lot better. But we'll see. Like I said, when I last played this, I didn't know what I was supposed to do to actually clear the first stage, so it was really confusing. But maybe... I do recall being able to get to what seemed like the end of the level, but I couldn't, like, the level didn't end, so I was pretty confused. But I think I have an idea what I'm supposed to do now, and it might be fine, but we'll see. Although I did boot up the Amstrad version before streaming to see if I could get it to run, and it seemed a lot more difficult. I am pretty sure that some of the versions I have of this are cracked, and they have trainers. We're obviously going to try to make you know, an honest attempt at playing the game without any kind of cheats, but I'm happy to know that I do have the ability to play with some cheats, I believe, which is going to enable us to at least see the entirety of the game, hopefully. But we'll take it one thing at a time. Yeah, 8 levels is intimidating for a game like this, for sure. The status panel. This is the area at the bottom of the screen and shows bond strength. They just never put, like, bond, like the possessive. It's always bond strength. Not bond's strength, but whatever. Let's maybe that's the actual what the bar shows, the amount of bond strength. Show how much bond strength we have, number of lives left, current weapons, and score. Extra weapons. Bond must fight through 8 levels to reach Brad Whitaker, the mastermind behind all his troubles. Between each of these levels, Q has kindly given Bond a chance to pick a weapon or object that may help him in his mission. That's actually pretty sick. Full Q integration into this game. Unfortunately, only one of the objects you can choose will prove useful on the next level. You have only 5 seconds to decide. Wow, okay. I guess 5 seconds is about the amount of patience that Q has for Bond, so I think that's actually lore accurate. Use the joystick or direction keys to highlight the weapon you require and press fire to select. Remember, only one will be of real use. Alright, so we should try to make note of what we're gonna potentially need. I do recall seeing... I don't know if this was in screenshots on Moby Games or something, but I recall seeing something about the night vision goggles on the conservatory level, which makes sense because they do use night vision goggles in the movie. Which I'm just suddenly realizing that there's actually another huge action set piece from the movie that's missing, which is when Bond goes to find, like, after the mansion raid. Actually, what is the level? Mansion house, fairground. Yeah, I guess it's yeah, it's in between the mansion house and the fairground, because the fairground, this is in the fairground is in Vienna, I think, because they leave, or I think they're in Czechoslovakia. Like, he goes there to see the girl, I guess, and he, like, rescues / kidnaps her, and they have to escape, like, the entire Russian army. But I guess that's all. It's, like, mostly driving, so that would have been kind of difficult to, like, squeeze into the mechanics of this game. I don't know, but still, like, goes to show how much stuff is actually happening in this movie, that they made 8 levels, and there's still, like, major action beats that they still missed. Anyway, where were we? Selecting the weapon during play. To select the special weapon / object you have chosen, move the firing sight down to the bottom right of the screen. The status panel will show the current weapon, and pressing fire will switch between the gun and the extra weapon. Moving up onto the playing area will continue the game, but now Bond can use the selected weapon. Yeah, this is the kind of thing I'm glad I check out the manual for, because in my time messing around with this, I actually had no idea that this was a mechanic. It's not really self-evident. And there's no Q branch section before the first level. But I guess there is one in between every level after that. Note, some weapons can only be used once. If you choose an object that cannot be used as a weapon, selecting it activates the object and leaves you with the Walther PPK to continue shooting. Ooh, nice. We actually get a list here. Among the weapons / objects you can choose are bazookas, grenades, night vision glasses, missile firing pens and cigarettes, a hard hat, bombs, mortars, crossbows, and a ghetto blaster. The ghetto blaster is featured in the movie. I guess it's like a boombox that explodes or something. I don't remember exactly what. It's like a bit of a joke in the film, but it's pretty cool that they put that in the movie. The other gadget that's like featured in the movie is I forget what it's like supposed to be. It's like a little key ring or something. Looks like a little key fob thing, but it basically Bond can like whistle and it shoots out like knockout gas, and I guess if he whistles differently it explodes, which is used in key moments in the film. But I guess an item like that would be a little difficult to incorporate in the mechanics of the game. But basically, yeah, okay. Bazookas, grenades, missile firing pens and cigarettes, a hard hat, bombs, mortars, crossbows, and the ghetto blaster. So it's not really clear. Like, having seen the movie does not necessarily help me figure out which of these items is meant for which level, beyond the night vision used for level 2. Like, I guess in that big airfield battle, there's like some of the Afghan rebel dudes have RPGs. So maybe I'm meant to use the bazooka in that level. Hard hat seems like something we should use. Maybe we need the hard hat for level 3 to avoid the danger of falling pipes. That's not it's not too bad of an idea. Rooftops of Tangiers. Yeah, that's when he's like fake assassinates John Rhys Davies and has to run away from like inept police. Yeah, I feel like the like either the extra items / weapons are gonna be pointless, like they're not gonna make too much of a difference, or we're gonna explicitly need them. But it's hard to like. That's one of the things I'm a little bit worried about at this point, where the feedback might be such that it's hard to tell what it's meant to be used for, and more importantly, if you're missing a key item, will you have any idea that you are missing something? And if so, what you are missing? I do think, I didn't read too closely, but as I was Googling to find the manual, I think I saw, like, I think one of the results I found was like a Commodore 64 wiki page. In fact, let me bring that up real quick. Okay, yeah, I'm just like skimming really quick, but I believe this has some kind of hints for each of the levels, so we may be able to consult that if we get stuck, or maybe have some, maybe it'll have some advice on which item to pick, at least. Who knows? Let me find my way back to my other window here. So, the final page here, the manual. I guess we can do this. There we go. There's our reference sheet. Some versions of the game have redefinable key controls. This will be shown on the screen. Note, you cannot use keys 1 through 5 and certain control keys. They are used for special functions. There isn't an Amiga version of this game, is there? I don't think there is. So there's Spectrum, Commodore 64 versions, Amstrad CPC, PCW, BBC Micro, I guess, whatever. B Plus Master, MSX, Atari. Yeah, of course we had weird Euro keyboard controls with QAOP. BBC, I guess it's I thought the boxes were empty, but you can barely make out that up and down is colon and slash on the BBC. ZX and return key to fire. Okay. So pause. There's no pausing on C64, I guess. No sound toggle button. No quit game. But F7 to start. I believe it says on screen. Okay, well, I think we have learned a few valuable pieces of information. So we're about as prepared as we're gonna get, I think. Speaking of Q, of course, one last order of business before we get to the game. It'll take a minute or two to set up anyway. We do, of course, have the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative going, where you can help the research and development of the technology needed to access and complete the hidden secret bonus missions that will be added to the list of games to be played as the goals are met. Every bit of contribution in the form of bits, subs, and whatever else will add to this little number here. And as it hits the goal, we will add one of the secret missions to the game list. Arrow keys, an underrated innovation. Yeah, a lot of these older computer system, when you come to them with, being used to modern PCs, it can be a little alien when all of the function keys and even stuff like arrow keys are like so different. Like some of them have arrow keys, but they're like not really meant to be used for anything as precise or demanding as like an action real-time kind of game. But a lot of them are like super compact anyway, so there wouldn't really be room for them in the first place. So you're left with these rubbery membrane keys. You have to do like the two-handed grip to reach all the necessary keys. Anyway, Cleo 96, thank you for the follow. Let's keep this on screen as I try to get the game up and running. BBC's arrow keys stuck in the top right corner. Left, right, above, up. Yeah, that sounds about right. It sounds about right. Let's set up the capture. Right, so do I have a filter for this? Ew, brilliant. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to, I'll use my bootleg fake NES USB controller just to have something. I'm probably kind of better off just using keyboard control for precision, but maybe for something like this, this actually works well enough. We'll give it a try. I have like 800 USB controllers, so I'm sure I can find something that works. But I think having a somewhat arbitrarily chosen, not exactly ideal, a little bit iffy, but technically workable controller, that adds to the authenticity of the Commodore 64 experience. Let me just see if I... I probably have to reset the emulator, okay? I know that you guys cannot see anything on screen just yet. Give me a minute to set this up. And I will put this on screen. There we go. All buttons used as fire. That sounds good to me. So this is it Alt Yep, there we go. Set. Okay, I think we are good to go. So let's livingdl.t64. Oh. Okay. 007, The Living Daylights. So we do start up with this trainer. Good selections here. Unlimited lives, energy, starting level. And I guess after end, start in selected level. Basically, it sounds like infinite continues, basically. Or maybe if you don't enable the last one, if you pick starting level 4 and you die, it'll start you back at level 1 or something. But we'll do everything without cheats for our first run, of course. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Where do I, there we go, I think. Yep, let's get the timer on there. And we're technically in game here, so let's start the timer. Do you want unlimited lives? No. Do you want unlimited energy? No. Select the starting level. 1. After end, start in selected level. I don't even really know what that means, so let's just go with no. Oh, it's a pretty good screen. Not yet. Yeah, no for now. Go Mark. The Living Daylights, the computer game. Yeah, I got the cover art right there. It's pretty good. You get a lot of those elements there. Pointing his gun like an Olympian fence. You know, it's a pretty good match for his gun barrel sequence pose. Yeah, so there's the car scene. You see on the bottom left where he's got the little ski on the car. That's the scene that's not in the game. Bombing the bridge. It's basically the end of the... Well, it's not the end of the movie, but it's pretty late. Scott, I guess that's Bond in his disguise riding on the horse. I'm not sure what that other little plane is or whatever on the right. Nor do I know who's shooting at him. I don't know. Generic person in a brown suit. There's Kara, of course, in the dress. Do I press a key? I guess I do. Living Daylights, one of the cooler sounding Bond movie titles. He even says it in the film. Got one of the better theme songs too. Oop. Speaking of which, like I don't recall from the little time I spent with this hearing a Sid rendition of the theme song, which is certainly one of the best parts of View to a Kill. But The Living Daylights is another banger of a song. I feel like it's a movie that actually has a lot going for it. I think the plot is really cool. Like, especially after, you know, previously we watched Goldfinger, and then we watched A View to a Kill, like, back-to-back, because the games were back-to-back, right? And The View to a Kill is, like, kind of a, not a remake of Goldfinger, but it borrows a lot of plot elements. It's very similar in some ways. But it's kind of lamer. It's got cool things going for it. I still like A View to a Kill, but it's pretty, like, limp compared to something like Goldfinger. But then coming off of that, like, Living Daylights has a lot of cool shit in its spy intrigue. But it's definitely missing more of the kind of over-the-top elements. It has a few small bits of good over-the-top... Well, not over-the-top exactly, but like big action. With the whole airplane thing. But it doesn't have, you know... It doesn't have a big, colorful, megalomaniacal villain. It doesn't quite have, you know, there's no equivalent to Grace Jones. Or, I guess, Christopher Walken. There's no... there's no Nazi professor, you know, shit like that. But it's still pretty cool. Yeah, we can only assume that David Whittaker, music and effects maker for this game, is Same Whitaker from the film. I don't actually remember his first name in the film, so must not be important. Written by David Barber for Sculptured Software Inc. Yeah, so it's interesting. You know, there's the designer credit. So I suppose Domark hired Sculptured, who hired David Barber to write the code in accordance with designer Richard Naylor's design. I'm always somewhat intrigued with the sort of structure of the development of a lot of these kind of games from back then. You would often have these like subcontractor of a subcontractor kind of thing, and you would definitely often have, you know, one person doing the code, and maybe they did the graphics themselves, and maybe someone else did the music, and that's about it. So it was like easy enough. Like, since you didn't necessarily have to coordinate a whole team, freelance, like, you know, hiring freelancers to just kind of come in and do a thing. Obviously, the size and scope of everything is a lot smaller back then, too, so that's like a doable thing. Now, obviously, outsourcing is still a big thing in games, so is contract work and freelancing to a degree, but not quite like this. Yeah, a game designer, like, as its own discipline, like, I would have to imagine in this case, this is just speculating, designer could mean that they did the art, but because this is a game that came out on so many different platforms, it kind of makes sense that there would have been a written design document, and that the different developers were kind of at their own discretion, you know, to follow that document and deliver a game that matched the description. Because that's definitely something that happened. Like, I want to say the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive versions of Justice League Task Force, I don't know what this came to mind, but they were developed by different companies. And from my understanding, neither of them knew about the other company doing the work. But they were basically based on the same design doc. So they're like kind of the same game, but they're also not the same at all because the development like didn't overlap. So it's stuff like that can be kind of wild. The Sculpture Software add-on Whitaker's Jams then maybe after the game was designed. Well, music was often like, because in those days for these types of games, especially computer games, it wasn't uncommon for a game to have, in some cases literally one music track. But maybe you have one loading screen / title screen track and one gameplay track. Maybe you have a couple of different level themes, but it would be pretty common to only have, you know, to have quite a limited amount of music. And there wasn't necessarily that much consideration that needed to be taken with the contents or, you know, structure of the game with the music being written. So you have a lot of cases of someone just kind of whipping up whatever, handing it off to, you know, the company making the game, and they implement it, and that's kind of the end of it. Anyway, press F7 to start. Level 1, Gibraltar. Okay, so we can run. Yep, I press left. I go down here. And I switch to Walter PPK. Ooh. Oh, I can roll. I think I need to jump over these rocks, okay? Yep, I didn't jump, so I tripped. Okay, yeah, I can tap up to jump. These guys don't seem to necessarily hurt me. Kind of makes sense, I guess, if they're just got, you know, paint guns. Okay, I do sometimes hit the diagonal, so I'm jumping, during which time I'm unable to pull out my gun. Okay, I'm definitely taking damage. I also don't know what rolling is good for, but maybe you need to duck under things. Sometimes I'm able to actually shoot these guys before they shoot me, but even if they get a shot off, they're not necessarily guaranteed to hit. So my understanding is these are just the friendly training paintball dudes. But there's going to be someone, or maybe more than one, actual... oh, okay. I guess we need the gun. For the gray dude, probably? Oh, got him. Okay, it was just the one guy, I guess. Choose your weapon. Night vision goggles. Missile pen. Wait, what? Aim for sight. Okay. I thought they were like tubes or something. Oh, there's Koskov. Yeah, in the movie they're like in a training exercise. Oh, that was an innocent music lover, and I shot them. Oh, you actually get to choose weapon. Okay, let's activate infrasight so we can see the enemies. There we go. Oh, I need to jump over the... Okay. Yeah, like you trip. Spawn is a bit clumsy. This game is actually pretty sick. These little Amish dudes or whatever. I was gonna say we're doing like full-on Virtua Cop. Don't shoot! In 1987, but I suppose Operation Wolf might have had that already in 86. So maybe that's not that crazy ahead of its time. Probably could have just kept running to get him off the screen. So at least in this level, like, it becomes clear enough, quickly enough, that you probably need the infrasight. I really don't know what to make of the gadget selection for other stages. There's like no downtime. I guess I can find a pause feature in the emulator probably, but I can't really like read chat. Because after like the level end sequence, like we're back in Q's lab and I have 5 seconds to pick a gadget. But I guess we want the hard hat for the pipeline. There's falling pipes. Oh, I took damage from that. Shit, I didn't realize. And I got shot. Okay. Choose your weapon. Okay. What's up, Bruno G? Thank you for the reminder. Fragmental Stew, greetings. Yeah, the background shooting is a bit like Dick Tracy. So knowing... Oh, shit. Knowing that you actually take damage... from the vents means I need to be a little more careful. But it's kind of weird, because like once an enemy spawns, it's not like they're gonna keep coming back out of the same spot until you shoot them. They sort of come out once, and then that's it, I guess. If you kind of miss them, then that's that. Like getting the cursor back to the edge, start running, and then immediately jumping is actually weirdly difficult. Oh, I missed the jump again. Dude, I'm getting destroyed. I missed it. I pressed up. I think I got shot there, but it's unclear, I guess. But, you know, obviously if you... Let me see, if I wait I'm too scared. I was gonna say, if I wait for the time, do I still get the infrared goggles? Or the infrasight? The parallax scrolling and, like, the perspective of the big cars in the foreground. Like, the graphics are pretty cool in this, I have to say. So basically, you just need to make sure to jump pretty early. Because if you land on top of the sewer vent thing, that's fine. It's the, like, the very edge of it that you trip on. I guess you should make sure to, like, keep running as much as you can. Yeah, I mistimed that. When there's, like, innocent people on screen. Because the game, there's going to be a limit of how many people can be on screen at once. So you get good mileage here. Dude, my aim. Keep running. I like there's even little, like, bullet impacts when you shoot. Sound effects are pretty good, too. All things considered. Little animation when they fall down. This game's definitely cooler than I gave it credit for. Oh, we did it! Okay, hard hat, I guess. Yes, Berninji. Oh, there's like... Oh, I see. I thought you were like... Okay, so we have 4 choices per level. I see. Okay, hard hat. The pipeline. Oh, we equipped the hard hat. Sick. Wait. Okay. Did that protect us? Maybe. Do I need to jump or roll under things? Probably need to jump over those little pipes. Roll through this, maybe? Luckily, he doesn't seem to get hit. Okay, I took damage from that. And rolling seemed to avoid damage, I see. There's so many enemies. But the hard hat does seem kind of indispensable. I guess I died. Like, it doesn't look like you die. But... And the music, the jingle is a little too celebratory. Okay. Let's try again. 1 life. Oh, hard hat. Oh, okay, sure. So you don't really need necessarily to... Okay, I was gonna say aim so much up or down. Guys mostly show up on the same level, but I guess that's not quite true. Well, let's just keep going. I don't know if you can, like, roll to avoid getting shot. That's, like, effective at all. I'm just gonna ignore the guys who are throwing pipes. It's funny that the manual talked about falling pipes. Not dudes chucking pipes at me. Appears to be what's happening. I'm not entirely sure I'm impervious to it, but it seemed that way before. Let's just run. Okay. The fake NES D-pad is not quite ideal for this, but I will say I guess I'm glad I'm not doing this on a Commodore 64 joystick, which would likely have been worse. Let's just keep running. Oh, okay, we did it. Okay, mansion, mortar, bazooka, bomb, dynamite? Dynamite, I guess. I don't know. The mansion. Oh shit! Fucking Necros with the lethal milk bottles. Okay, he's like standing on my plane? So, was I even able to shoot him? I was so flustered, like I wasn't ready for him throwing projectiles that I had to jump over. I assume is what I was supposed to do. I didn't have much time to try, but I guess I didn't pay super close attention. But given how quickly I died in some of the levels, I guess maybe the health carries over between stages, like you don't get a health refill. That's probably, like, I don't think the milk bottles did 50% damage. I guess they might have. I mean, in the movie, they're explosive, so... Like, he kills a... I mean, he Hitman 47's it. He, kills the milkman and steals his clothes and milk truck. This top secret MI6 mansion facility has a milkman come deliver milk directly into the building. 5 lives, no continues, kind of generous. Yeah, 1 life bar for 8 stages. Yeah, but it's 5 life bars. But I do think, I mean, yeah, but it's still rough because... I mean, again, we basically made it to... Well, we didn't clear half the game because we didn't clear stage 4, but we got to stage 4 on our first attempt. Which is better than I would have expected. And you could survive more than 1 level on a life bar, but when you die, you do start the game, or the level from the beginning. So, on average, you need to clear more than 1 stage per life. For the lives to last. But I think... there's probably some strats and some things you can... learn about the background. Like, there's a lot to look at on screen at once. So, it's not super easy to see and keep track of what hurts you and what doesn't. But if you do, like, optimal jumping and rolling, maybe that's gonna, like, prevent enough damage from... like, to the point where you can complete at least stage 1 and 2 on the same life. And then I guess you take a death on stage 3. But none of the stages seem, like, overly long. I was gonna say for stage 1, maybe you just, like, make a run for it, but I guess the paintball guys still do hurt you. Well, I guess, you know, I don't know if there's that much knowledge or strats to be applied here on our second attempt, but I think we're just gonna go at it. Oh yeah, F7. I pressed the button, didn't do anything. Gibraltar. Oh, I pressed up. Yeah, I have to jump really early. I wonder if... yeah, maybe try this. I'm just gonna hold up. Okay, I am getting hit. Okay. I was just curious to see if there's, like... what if we do this? Oh, okay, you can't hold down to keep rolling. I was wondering if rolling or jumping has any kind of impact on your ability to avoid getting hit. It is worth noting that the cursor stays at the height that it was when you leave the screen. Okay, we're already kind of taking too much damage here. Oh yeah, look at my life. But that was... I thought the stage would be longer than that. Yeah, look, my health is not refill. Oh, dude, the damage I took from that. Holy shit. Granted, the D-pad doesn't make it trivial to not hit up or down. But I was going to say, it's probably ideal to try to find a position on screen where you don't have to adjust up or down as much to hit dudes. Fucking rolled into the vent. Yeah, it's kind of tricky because like the further to the left they spawn, obviously the further I have to travel with the cursor. But at the same time, if they're far enough to the left, I feel like I can like just move them off screen. Nice. Like he was already ducking back. Like sometimes I guess they don't shoot at all. It's really difficult to jump immediately after you start running. And the health bar is so, like, out of the way that it's really not that easy to see, like, to notice when you take damage. It would be nice if, like, killing an enemy essentially guaranteed that enemies wouldn't spawn for a little bit or something. So you're, like, you feel incentivized to actually shoot enemies. It's, like, satisfying to kill them, but you don't necessarily feel like you have a... I feel like any time I spend time aiming on the screen and shooting, I'm, like, left second-guessing if I should have done that. I took less than half of a life bar. So if I take the same amount of damage here, we could clear this level. Gotta focus though. I'm already taking a bunch of damage, though. Ah, the jump. Oh, yeah, so much for this. Did I still take... Did I completely misunderstand? I could swear that I rolled through the steam before. Maybe I was wrong? No, it looked like it worked. Does this game have rank? Do I just have an easier time after I die? Is that what's going on? That was also awkward when I try to jump soon after I run. I'm like trying to hit up as I hit the edge of the screen, and it often results in the reticle going like all over the place. Kind of cool when you see like the bullet impacts like by Bond's feet. also kind of tricky. Like, you don't see any, like, progression. You can't know how far into a level you are, because the graphics, I guess, are, like, looping. So the level kind of ends. Yeah, I took less than half health now, too. Close to it, but... Bomb. Oh, I got literally generated. Okay. So I probably need to use a weapon. Okay, let's try the bomb. Oh, the bomb was single use, I guess. Oh, okay, I just had to shoot him 8 billion times, okay. Dude. Okay. We're full microcomputer gaming now. Holy shit, okay. I don't know what item I'm meant to use here. Even switching weapons to deal with this guy would not be trivial. I'm basically ignoring everything else. I can't jump. We cleared the stage. Okay. I wonder which weapons I should have used. Let's pick the... Okay, we're on our last life, I'm pretty sure, by the way. Are we going to Tangiers? No, the fairground. Okay, we died. So I guess those are sticks of dynamite on a balloon? This game is intense. There is a lot of shit going on. There is a lot of shit going on. Oh, I need to rest. God damn, this game is intense. So, for stage 4, like, you just shoot Necros, right? You... Hypothetically, any weapon that you just shoot with a cursor and deals a lot of damage could kill him faster, but it doesn't necessarily, like, swapping weapons would still be slower than just jumping or rolling to avoid the first milk bottle and then just shooting him as fast as you can. Yeah, I'm like a little annoyed because so far for every stage, I have what I could perhaps charitably describe as a strat to get through the stage on, like, if I have a full life bar, I can get through the stages. But that basically means that I die at the beginning of the next stage, which means that I could make it to stage 5, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of luck and RNG playing into it, you know. I'm sure there's some research you can do and study the specifics of how you might want to prioritize enemies over progression or vice versa. If you want to prioritize, like, when is it worth moving your cursor? I don't even know if the enemy layouts are random. I'm just kind of assuming they are. But maybe you can memorize enemy spawns so you know which ones to go for. And if they aren't random, I don't know if it would be like on a global timer or based on your scrolling or how it works. But because it's hard to see, it's hard to notice when you take damage, it makes it very difficult to get a sense of whether you're doing, like, you kind of check in on your life bar every now and then, and it's like, well, in the last 12 seconds of play, I lost this much health. But it's going to be real difficult to correlate that to any particular decisions you made, or how you executed on something. Like, maybe sometimes you notice an enemy popping out and, like, just shooting a bunch of times, because sometimes they just kind of hop out for a bit and then go back. I guess we could look at the hints on the wiki to see if they help clarify on, you know, any of these points. I'm happy to just keep playing for now and just, like, see if I can make it a difference. Like, so far we've gotten further on each attempt, right? So maybe we can just sort of practice it. Getting through 8 levels still feels like a bit of a stretch. But still, you know, if we with infinite lives, I feel like so far it would be, if not trivial, at least super doable. I was expecting this to be a pretty big undertaking, and you know, because I was essentially assuming that clearing the game legitimately was not on the table at all. And with that assumption, you know, I'm just thinking back to A View to a Kill, the action game that was so insanely fucked that it took like 2 hours to basically, you know, even figure out what each level was or how to do it. Like, I spent, I don't know, an hour watching the playthrough to write down a step-by-step, like 67-step guide to beating stage 2. And it did it exactly according to those instructions. And when you hit the exit trigger for the level just reset. The same as it does when you literally use the command in-game to give up. So I was like, well, okay. Then the underground, like the mine, cave, whatever stage is also like super long. So that was just such a massive endeavor to no real result. But for this one, who knows? It seems simple enough. Like, to actually beat it legitimately, yeah, that would be a grind. And not necessarily something I would be that interested in. So, like I said, I went in with the expectation that we would spend tonight banging our head against the wall with this version, maybe take a quick look at one other version, but then probably come back to this. But we've been playing for 37 minutes. We made it to stage 5. I think we'll give this a few more attempts, but I have a feeling that at that point we're gonna kind of hit a wall, I think, at which point, for now, practice and doing multiple attempts does seem to get us slightly further every time. But I think it's gonna be diminishing returns. And whenever I do decide to say, all right, let's do this with infinite lives, or let's use the level select code to start on stage 5 or something, then I think we'd beat it pretty quickly. So maybe that's what we'll do, and then we'll maybe we'll be able to even check through the entirety, because I think the CPC version that I have, I think also has a similar trainer, so we might actually just get through both of them tonight. Could be. I'm just a little taken aback, because that is not what I was expecting. Tunes are strong. I mean, the music's decent, but it doesn't... Man, it doesn't have a SID version of the actual Living Daylights song. That would have been incredibly sick. The View to a Kill song in that game on the C64, definitely a highlight. Anyway, let's give it one more attempt. You know what? Yeah, it's not worth aiming though for those guys. going well. I think we're actually pretty close to the end. I like they changed color. I guess that's to imply that I actually hit them with the paintball. Okay. That's a much better result. Infrasight. Concert hall. That was not worth it. I legitimately feel like the jumping is like the most important aspect. Like the obstacles are the kind of the source of damage where your performance has the biggest impact on whether or not you take damage. He wasn't even shooting. See, some of these guys go fucking crazy. I guess those are the guys you want to take out. Oh. I guess you could probably like count the doors or something to get a sense of like how long the level is. It's like even if the background's looping, it's got discernible elements. There we go. Nice. Okay, we took very little damage. I was just about to say, I remember the level ending by one of those signs. The 1cc is alive. Well, the no miss, I guess. Let's equip the hard hat. Taking quite a bit of damage. Is that sound indicating that I'm taking damage from the smoke? Or does it always play? Probably always plays. But with the jumping, I'm getting kind of familiar with what the collision sort of looks like. I didn't take damage there. I'm not clearing this. Yeah, got shot. But I'm less confident in my ability to actually avoid the... Like, I think every time I'm carefully, like, looking to determine whether I avoided it or not, I feel like it looks like I did. But anytime I do look down at my health bar otherwise, it's always, like, at less than it was last time. So I'm like, I'm taking damage from some things. And I don't think I'm taking damage from the pipes. I mean, the guys throwing them. Which, I'm just calling them pipes because of the manual. Might as well be bricks. But, like, a lot of these guys don't really appear to be shooting. It's like Time Crisis. You have the red dudes who actually shoot you. And the blue guys are, like, mostly there to waste time. But yeah, look at my health. I'm taking a lot of damage. Something's hurting me. If I don't beat this level now... Oh, dude, I got shot like 4 times. Oh, I'm dying. Okay. Yeah, I got killed again. Okay, so enemies definitely seem more... Yeah, so much for the no miss. Now I'm at 2 deaths here anyway. So I guess for this level, you legitimately do need to be more aggressive. Maybe that's the key to the hard hat, affording you the ability to stop to shoot. Yeah, but you have stuff like that, like guy popping out, going like doo-doo-doo, like as I'm in the middle of a jump, and I can't pull out my gun. I think I got hit by the smoke there. Like, they wait a half a second before spawning, or before shooting after they spawn. But if it takes like a second and a half for my cursor to get there, it's like not enough of a grace period. Pretty satisfying when you get the kill without like stopping, like slow down cursor or whatever. Ah, that was bad. Dude, okay. Can I please move on? Oh, I missed the jump. It's like very significant damage. Look at how much, yeah, 2 deaths and I still took like 80%. I don't know if you, like the helicopters might be a problem, I don't know. I'm dead. Oh, that's so annoying. I missed. No, I did dodge it, okay. I only have 1 shot. I'm missing him. Oh boy, that was great. Accidental roll, and during the roll you can't do anything. Yeah, the special weapons seem like a massive liability in this stage. Yeah, I fucked that up. Just looking at the helicopter. Oh, we're almost done, right? Okay, fairground. What the fuck do we do here? Crossbow? Shoot the balloons? I don't know. Feels like the gun would do the trick, but... Dude, they move so erratically. We cleared the stage. No, we died. Okay. It sounded like we cleared the stage, but we died, I guess. Technically, that was an improvement, right? Stage 3 went really bad, but... we survived. I think we had 1 extra life in stage 5. Maybe I should have just killed the... is that supposed to be Necros? Throwing dynamite balloons my way? Maybe it's the same thing there. You just mash the button to get rid of that enemy, and then maybe try to clear the screen of balloons. Then again, I don't know, if you shoot the balloons... I guess you're not, like, those are the only things that are gonna hurt you. Maybe you do have to shoot them when something happens. I could see, you know, just chilling with the balloon, like mashing to shoot, because missing shots doesn't seem to do anything. Like, there's no penalty. So maybe you can just kind of keep that going for a while and keep a watchful eye and see if anything else happens. All right. One more attempt, and then we'll probably take a short break. Dude, they're shooting so fucking much. All right, got him. Taking more damage than I would like here. Stuck jumping again. Okay, I'm gonna do something risky here. That was poor judgment. Okay. I was trying to predict when the end of the level is about to come up. I was a little bit early. But the idea wasn't too crazy. But that we're literally, I think, at exactly 50%, or maybe very slightly above 50. So this is gonna be rough. I don't think we got hit yet, actually. So one of those white signs. Second one coming up here. Second guess there, yeah. Hesitated. Third one. I don't think this is the end. Maybe one more. Oh, fuck, I missed the jump. This could be the end here. Nope. Yes, okay. Whew. Obviously, we're not going to do well here, but... that's still... We didn't die yet, right? Yeah. I'm just picking whatever... This is the wrong... Well, I guess we're gonna die anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, I feel like none of these... Like, the items that you use, obviously, have an effect. But none of the weapons seem any different from the gun. Took some damage there for sure. I wonder if at any point it's worth it to stop before enemy, like preemptively stop to aim at the screen. But I feel like if you did that, progress would be so slow. that you would end up spending more time in firefights and less time actually moving forward. And it's not like being ready with the reticle on screen is gonna like prevent you from getting shot. You might still have to move the cursor, and you might still have dudes popping out and shooting like that. This dude just out of an American Laser Games shooting game or something, just instantly shooting. Okay, so we didn't get any enemies on the top floor yet, I don't think. Which I guess might mean we have some traveling left to do. Getting accidental jumps and rolls is pretty bad. Okay. We're not going to clear the stage on this life, but we'll get some practice in. Dude, where's my cursor? I was trying to do the roll, and I must have moved the cursor further down. Ah, we're fucked. Okay. Oh, dude, the guard. Look at how much he killed me for like 50%. Fuck, that one dude shot me like 8 times. I guess... Forgot what I was doing. Okay, I somehow hit him. Dude, there's fucking so many of these guys. Yeah, that's pretty satisfying. Okay, enemies or helicopters just come back. I'm trying to aim. Trying to aim left, but I held up left, so he just kept jumping. Okay. Cool scrolling. That seemed a bit glitchy. Okay, stage 5. I don't know how many lives I had. I guess we'll see now. 2 lives. Okay, balloons. I have a feeling that I might need the crossbow for this. Yep, okay. Oh yeah, the number of balloons... Oh, maybe not. I was gonna say... They're holding fewer balloons, but no, they're just spawning. Now that doesn't seem to do much. Oh, they're out of balloons. I think we'll clear the stage. Is this... Pangier sleep dart gun? I guess maybe we're fighting Pops because we only fake assassinated a dude. Let's try that. Oh, rooftops. Dude, just let me run, okay? Graphics are pretty sick. Oh, dude, he's like tossing sticks at me. I didn't mean to do that jump. The jumping is quite quite troublesome. It's a very cool game. I like this. Yeah, the stages are cool. Stages are definitely cool. So I'm trying to think. If a different controller setup might be helpful. Is a little strained. But I don't know what would be better anyway, because I think it also has to do with the game's, like, handling of inputs. And, just, I mean, it's more about how, like, you have to be pretty precise. We made it to stage 6 out of 8 within an hour, which I'm fairly shocked at. But I think also, you know, stage 5, we need the crossbow, we know that much. Like, strats and knowledge are increasing. At this point, I'm starting to feel that, you know, actually beating this game may not be impossible. I think, like, taking a death in stage 3 seems all but guaranteed. I should be able to clear stage 4 on a full life bar. And stage 5, I should basically be able to do without taking damage. Right? The balloon thing. Because, yeah, pick the crossbow, shoot the balloons, and then once you're out of, or once they're out of balloons, you change to your gun and shoot them. Like, it's a short level. So let's say, for the sake of argument, you take 1 death in stage 3, you take 1 death in stage 4, you take 1 death in stage 6. That means you could take 1 death in stage 7 and still have 1 life left to do the last 2 stages. That's still hefty. But what if you could do stage 6? You know, a lot of it hinges on stage 4, I think. Because obviously we died even with full health. But I don't even know, I feel like previously, you know, when I cleared it now, I took a lot of damage, but I didn't, like, getting a clean stage 4 is difficult. But I think you man, kind of have to rely a little bit on luck. The helicopter doesn't seem to be as big of a deal as you might think. The bigger deal with the helicopter, I guess, is that it creates the craters that you have to jump over. The biggest problem in stage 4, honestly, is the random, extremely trigger-happy guards that pop up and just drain half your health. Because, yeah, Necros is going to cause a lot of strife, but if you do it well, you'll shoot him as soon as you get him on screen, and then you only have to dodge 1 milk bottle. And hopefully, he throws a low milk bottle, because jumping is faster than rolling. So if you get to jump over it, you regain control faster, and are able to either progress more, like, get back to moving forward sooner, or I suppose possibly having time to actually shoot. But the problem is, like, while you're jumping or rolling, you won't be able to have control over your cursor until after you stop running or jumping, or rolling or jumping. It's tricky, it's tricky. Stage 2, I think, yeah, simple enough. There's not that many enemies compared to stage 3. Being able to get to stage 4 on the first life, that would be a game changer. If I would somehow be able to get, you know, because I have gotten to stage 3, I think, with like about half health. So if I was able to do that, like, let's say I took 30% damage on average on stage 1, 2, and 3. So So I get to stage 4 and I die immediately, and then I get a clean stage 4. And then 5 is fine. Yeah, if I were able to get to stage 4 on my first life, that would mean I could take 1 death per stage after that. Well, not... You take death basically in 4, 6, 7, 8. If it was possible to orchestrate that, then it could certainly be doable. I will be taking a break. Let's pause the timer right here. And I will contemplate this. I will rest. I will hydrate. I will stretch, and then we'll see if we can make some progress. Actually, what we'll do, we'll check the wiki to see if we missed any important strats for stages 1 through 4. I'm even thinking too. Obviously, it's a bit inconvenient with how the cheats work, but it would be interesting to use the level select just to kind of practice and research the other levels, like kind of like a save state sort of thing. But again, because I would have to restart, it's it's too inconvenient. Well, that would be kind of neat. Anyway, I will go on break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and when I return, we'll give this another attempt. See you guys in just a couple of moments. All right. I'm back. So, if you happen to join just recently, we are tonight playing James Bond 007 in the Living Daylights, the computer game. Mission number 5 of James Bond. Very interesting game so far. We've been playing the Commodore 64 version, but as you can see there, it came out on a bunch of systems, including the Amstrad CPC, MSX, ZX Spectrum, and others. We're making good enough progress that I'm feeling some amount of confidence that we could conceivably reach a point where we might actually beat this game legitimately. Maybe not tonight, but we'll see. We'll see. I do want to check out some other versions, but this one seems pretty cool. I don't know if any of the other versions are harder, easier, more or less playable. I think the CPC version has pretty impressive graphics, which is not something I would have expected. Granted, I'm not very knowledgeable about the Amstrad computers, but what little exposure I've had through my marathons of, you know, Double Dragon, Final Fight, Batman games, etc., the CPC did not seem to... The games that I played for the CPC were not very visually or otherwise impressive. But it's only a small handful of games. I don't know if they're representative of the capabilities of the system. I don't know what the Spectrum or MSX versions of this are like either. I'm not positive that I have those on hand, but I would definitely like to take a quick look at them at some point. We'll see. No guarantees. We are, you know, taking a reasonably thorough look at the history of James Bond games, but I cannot really guarantee that we'll look at every version of every game, because that is quite the undertaking, and in a lot of cases, frankly, I don't know that we're necessarily going to find that much of extra interest looking through like 8 different versions of the same game. I can't say that it would be of no interest, but we have to draw the limit somewhere. A reminder also, for those who did not yet see... Oh yeah, I should also... Let me just type this in chat. If you want to see more about the upcoming games, current status and all that, you've got the link to the official spreadsheet right there in chat. We have, of course, the Q Branch funding initiative also going. We will be able to unlock some additional bonus games, some secret missions to add to the list as we hit milestones on the Q Branch research funding, which we will build up through contributions in the form of subs, bits, merch sales, donations, etc., etc. No one should feel pressured to spend money, of course, but there's an option there if you would like, and we will together make something of it. And there's some interesting games in that pile of hidden bonus missions that I hope to get to. The milestone goals are a bit arbitrarily set. We'll tweak that as we may or may not have to as we go. But I'm excited. I'm excited. For now, let us continue the Living Daylights. Oh yeah, I mentioned before the break we should take a quick look at the... I have the Commodore 64 wiki open here, and there is a brief guide, I think. Tips for the levels, it says here. Let's read what it says about the levels we have previously cleared, in case there's some better strats or tips or something that will help us on our way. Level 1, shoot at the green soldiers with a paint gun. At the gray soldier at the end of the level, shoot him with the Walther. Jump over stones lying in the way. Okay, I think we figured that out. Level 2, at the start, instantly use the night vision device. Only shoot at the red soldiers, jump over manhole covers. I think we got that figured out. Level 3, at the start, instantly put on the steel helmet. At steam exhausts, yellow, do a roll forward, and jump over the pipes, white. Okay. None of these tips are giving me much new information, but that's still good information to confirm that our previously held assumptions are in fact accurate. Level 4, use bazooka to shoot helicopter and guards on the way. Jump over grenade holes and projectiles on the way. I don't know, that advice I'm a little bit... You know, even if the bazooka is effective at taking down the helicopter, which seems fully believable, the helicopters take a bunch of bullets. I don't know if the bazooka have multiple rounds. I'm not sure if you might... Like, some of the weapons you can only use once. And regardless, Necros throwing his explosive milk bottles is, like, by far the bigger threat. So I would say, like, the more key piece of advice is to, like, shoot him a bunch of times and, like, make sure to get him out of the way, and everything else is kind of... And even then, like I said, the helicopter, whenever we died in that level, it didn't seem, at least, to be much because of the helicopter. Because... Well, I mean, it's hard to tell, because the feedback when you take damage is such that it's hard to notice while you're keeping your eye on 4 other things at once. But it seemed to me, when you have like 6 guards popping out and some of them just go like brap, 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 just rapid fire, that's when you lose all your health. So I don't know. Level 5. Bond cannot move. First shoot 20 balloons with a crossbow, then the balloon seller with the Walther. Okay, so I guess we learned that there's 20 balloons. I didn't exactly keep track, but... we didn't necessarily learn that much from those tips. But like I said, it at least confirms that we're kind of on the right track. Let's not read any further and see if we can make any progress on our own. Reset or resume the timer and see how we can do. I guess what you could do is like maybe learn again. A little more kind of accurately when to switch guns on this stage. There's like a bigger gap between the rocks and the background, I think, towards the end. I kind of just went on like gut instinct last time, and my timing was a bit off. I wonder if it is worth staying around a little bit to get these guys off screen. It kind of seems like they don't respawn or new guys aren't coming in. At least not for quite some time. So I think... Where's my cursor? Okay, we're taking a lot of damage here. This is a very bad stage 1. This is about a time to switch. There's a gap, and here's the big... Okay, I think I was early again. Definitely was. There he is. Yeah, we almost died. Okay, that was a terrible stage 1. Can I just, like, reset? Pick the grenade here. I'm just curious to see if we can... Yeah, you only get the 1 grenade. I obviously just fucking around here, because... Whatever. I guess there's no, like... F1, F3. I'm pressing different keys in case they would reset the game or something, but I guess not. We have enough... Oh, actually... shooting an innocent person is the fastest way to lose... Oh, wait. Oh, I thought that was an instant game over, or instant death. Huh. Guess not? It's so weird to see the stage in the normal colors, by the way. I'm really confused. I'm just shooting innocent people left and right, and it's fine? I like that they have this different, different sound cue. See, I'm not, like, losing... Oh, I'm losing points. Do we game over, or do we die at, like, negative points? Well, I guess I should stop shooting enemies, then. No? Then how the hell did that kill me before? Maybe it was just a coincidence that I shot a person and I simultaneously got killed in some other way. Because I could swear that it just, like, killed me. Okay. So the Ghetto Blaster seems identical to the grenade. Kind of cool that you have Oskov, like, running alongside you on the screen. Like, that's a touch that they didn't really need to put in the game. I think the running animation is pretty neat. I don't know about the Bond sprite. I guess he's, like, in a white dress shirt. And I guess he wears a tuxedo. Like, in this particular scene, it's like, he does wear a tux, I think. But it's not like he's in that kind of outfit for much of the movie. I mean, I guess it's not the most important thing. You want him to be distinguishable. And look at how much damage you take from tripping over a manhole cover. It's like 15-20% health. Like, getting shot just, like, chips away at the life bar, but tripping over a manhole cover is an instant, like... It's like the equivalent of being shot 8 times. Boom, yeah. So it looks like it's a sixth of your life bar or so. So that, yeah, that is very significant. Ended up with 0 points. Okay. So I think I guess my strat, my idea to switch to the Walther preemptively in the Gibraltar stage is like terrible. Like, that's not good. It's not helpful. I'm better off. I didn't need to jump that. Like, switching too soon and being unable to shoot back is hurting me more than having the gray guy on screen for half a second too long. Dude, I'm taking a lot of damage here, though. At the end of the day, like, it's still a lot of RNG, basically. I need to make that jump. I don't think... Oh. Yeah, so this is, like, where I would switch guns. Yeah, he got, like, maybe 1 shot off. Okay. See, if I were to clear this stage with similar damage taken, that would leave me in an okay spot for stage 3, but... Manhole covers, for sure, are the critical part here. Oh, I say that and I fucking missed the jump. Whoops. Okay, well, I only lose points, right? This is bad. I'm taking way more damage than I can afford. Did I just not shoot because I was jumping? Oh, I don't know. Sometimes the cursor kind of goes all over the place. And sometimes these guys are just... go nuts. At this point, I'm scared. There's still a bit of level left here. Like, forget clearing stage 3 on this life. If we can clear stage 2 on this life. A blessing. Not much left now, though. Alright, hard hat. And I sure wish you could get at least a health refill. Like, maybe not get your full health back, but just get, like, a little bit back. I wonder if the staircases are like a good... Like, I'm thinking of a recognizable stage element to use, like, as a yardstick to see, to measure your progress. Like some kind of landmark. Oops! Ah! I accidentally rolled, which made me miss the jump, which made me get destroyed. I definitely didn't get hit by the smoke there, though. Yeah. See, and he shot me there. Like, there's no way I could have get the cursor there. But given how little health I had, I think I I survived further than I would have thought. Okay. Oh, fuck, okay. Yeah. Okay, it's pretty tricky. Nice. I do like that the guys are still, like, vulnerable as they spawn and despawn. So at least they're not, like, annoyingly hard to hit because they're moving. Dude, that felt like it went really well, but look at how much damage I'm still taking. Maybe I've been a little bit too conservative in running forward. Yeah, that was still like 60%. Oof. Mansion. Okay. I wonder how, like... if I do... Yeah, I'm fucked. Like, I rolled one more time that I meant to, which scrolls the screen forward. At which point, like... you're not leaving yourself enough room to react. There's another thing I want to check. Okay. Yeah, if you have scrolled the screen far enough, killing, like, you stop being able to move forward. And you have to kill Necros to beat the level. There was that one part in the middle there when I got hit by the guards. Dude. Oh, I didn't switch items. I was like, why is this not working? I wanted to see that I can do this, like, damage less, but I forgot that I had to do this. Of course, you need the crossbow to penetrate the balloon. Of course, this wimpy little Walther PPK could not possibly shoot a balloon. That was such a stupid death. I feel like what every stage has in common is that you're meant to pick the unique item. I guess we start with full health on this stage. We died on the last one. Dude, I tripped over the gap between the buildings. But I guess this is similar to the mansion stage. Jumping. Got him. Ah, dude, the jumping. My health. This is a peep. Dude, why is it impossible to jump? You just need to jump like a meter before the gap. I died because I accidentally jumped and I landed right on where you need to jump. Yeah, that seems like a kind of harder version of the mansion stage because it's longer. And you need to jump, like... For the mansion, you can just kind of, you know, inch forward. And wait for Necros to show up and you shoot him. I have a feeling that whatever tip we can read in the wiki isn't really going to help us that much, so let's just check in and see what it says for stage 6. Level 6, shoot at guards at the edge with sleep dart gun, jump over walls and projectiles. Yeah, that was pretty much... I guess I don't know what happens if you use the normal gun. Maybe the normal gun doesn't work against those guys? Who knows? The sleep dart gun functions, which is, like, more than can be said for most of the weapons you can pick, it seems like. So far, we have definitely not gotten a run that's, like, ideal. I feel like every run has a noteworthy amount of mistakes or sub-optimal performance. Dude, it's so hard to, like, come out of a jump and immediately start aiming. Like, you have to press directly left when you try to start aiming. Because if you hit diagonal up or down, even when going left, it'll trigger a jump or a roll. Granted, I don't have the best D-pad in the world here, but even so, it's sensitive in kind of a awkward way. A little tricky because, like, you obviously have to keep your eyes on the background. Oh, shit. Okay. Gray guy, please. So it's tricky to see, like, you see the rocks in the foreground, but it's not trivial to, at a glance, determine whether it's a rock you need to jump over or not. Oh. Good jump. Oh, that guy. Fuck, okay. That's fine. Collateral damage. Gonna be some of that. I like the animation of Bond turning to aim when you move the cursor. I think that's a cool touch. I like that Koskov also jumps over the manhole covers. Or he jumps when he's close to them. He doesn't always jump over them, but... Kind of funny when they sometimes just pop out without shooting. I mean, I'm thankful for it because it'll save my life, but a little funny. The jukes. Like spawning a dude on the other side of the screen. Like, a guy spawns on the left, and while I'm moving my cursor over there, a guy spawns on the right and shoot me, and then the guy who spawned on the left never even fired his gun. Ooh, nice. Wow, okay. That was pretty damn good. But, man, can we clear this stage? I think this is basically a PB for getting to stage 3 with more than 50, maybe even more than 60% health, but finding the balance of aggression in this stage is hard. I took some hits there. Getting shot at more than I would like. Oh, that's really bad. That's death guaranteed, pretty much. Because I was in a really bad spot to try to avoid the smoke. Like so, and it made me bump into the pipe. And while I was recovering, I got shot a bunch. Alright, do some slight YOLO strats here. I know that the level ends with a jumping over a pipe. I was gonna say, could this be it? Holy shit! All right, we actually did it. Well, we're obviously not gonna survive very far in this stage. Yeah. Guard in the background kill us. I'm just picking the bazooka based on the guide, but I'm never using it. Fuck. Okay, did you guys see me lose about 40% health instantly? I don't know what happened there. I heard a little... So maybe that was like... Maybe I got hit by the helicopter? Let's see if we can do a clean stage 5. Remember to change weapons. This is getting scary. Fuck! Oh! What a... Oh, taking a death in this stage is like... That should not happen. See, like... Simple ass level. But this one is still also kind of the finding the balance between dealing with foreground and background guys, I guess. Or like rather dealing with background guys versus just pushing on. I like the look of this level, though. It's definitely pretty cool. And this is a PB? Guy's shooting a lot. I didn't even try to jump it. I probably should have, but... Oh, of course. Oh my god, I got really lucky there with the background dudes. Oh, fucked up the jump. Got killed. God damn, this stage is long. But I feel for this one, you probably should memorize where these guys show up. I do a lot of accidental jumping because anytime I move my cursor out of the corner, I hit it up because I need to go into the background. So I end up dragging it diagonally, which makes me jump. But I feel like it's absolutely key to get rid of this guy before he starts chucking stuff. Because trying to avoid that is a big nuisance. So he doesn't typically spawn in such a way. But I have to deal with jumping over Like, anytime I'm at a jump, I can kind of safely deal with the jump first. It always spawns like 3 dudes at once. It's like completely different parts of the screen. There's so many fucking enemies on this stage. Ah! They're gonna kill me? Yeah, they killed me. Yeah, tripping over the rooftop. Still... what's getting me killed more than anything. How long can I afford to stay to aim at shit? I don't know, not that long. Alright, I saw that. Its little finger. Seems to be like every rooftop and a half or so. There's one of these guys. Dude! Oh, the jump. I'm fucked. See? Yeah, I knew I'd roll into the jump. Dude, I was in mid-air, and I feel like both of those guys had to shoot me at the same time. Because I lost, I don't know, more than like a pixel. Oh, maybe they just do more damage in this stage. And what I thought was enough health to take 1 or 2 hits killed me. That's stage 6. There's 2 more stages after that. And we got to that stage with like 3 lives or something, right? That was probably, like, despite taking that death in the carnival stage, that was still probably the best run so far. But man. Okay, so admittedly, in stage 6, I started to develop a gut instinct for when the foreground dudes were gonna show up, but still not enough to, like, I was still inching forward a little carefully. And I also didn't, like, I can't figure out, or I haven't yet at least figured out, what's a good balance, like how much I should focus on the background guys, because it truly does feel like ignoring them will get you killed. But trying to stop to shoot them anytime they show up is also not sustainable, because that'll just lead to you progressing. Like, they'll keep inching away at your life. So I really don't know. Again, it could just come down to luck. Like, you just maybe need to have a run where not, you know, where enough of them are a little hesitant to shoot. Or, you know, the ones you happen to have time to aim at are the ones who are going to shoot you, and you take them out before they do. And the ones you leave alive end up not shooting at you, or maybe missing. I don't know. I'm not sure if, like, I feel like sometimes enemies can fire, and, you know, you see the little bullet impacts on the floor, you don't take damage because they missed. Like, I think that's a thing? Jumping and rolling does not necessarily seem to have an impact on that, though, but... So, Stage 6, like, even if we had infinite lives, at this point, Stage 6 would still be essentially a roadblock. I mean, I haven't tried it that many times, like 5 times maybe total. But every other stage, like with Stage 4, I mean, even taking that mega helicopter damage or whatever it was, we got through it. Because again, like, if I make sure to kill the milkman quickly enough, the stage is so short that you can push through it pretty quickly and just kind of hope that you don't get hit enough to die. But Stage 6 is like 3 times as long. Or, I mean, I guess I don't know how long it is because we haven't reached the end. But it's like at least that. I have to imagine that we were pretty close to the end, because none of the stages have been that long. I feel like the pipeline and Tangiers are the longest stages so far. I'm a little worried about the final 2 stages, though. That confidence I had before about possibly being able to beat the game is kind of dwindling. Simply because, well, you know, it doesn't matter if I fucking no miss up until Stage 6. It doesn't matter if, you know, Stage 6 is, if I can't beat it, you know? I'm torn on... I'm finding myself back in the same situation all the way back in Game 1, where we played the original James Bond 007 on the Atari 2600. We also played the Sega SG-1000 versions and the... what other version did we play? Oh, I guess it was the C64. And we kind of jumped between these versions, and ultimately we ended up finishing the SG-1000 version, but I went into that game expecting it to either be like a 15-minute thing or impossible. But it ended up being more doable than I thought, and because I reached that point of like, you know what, maybe I could do this, I kind of kept at it, and we eventually did it. Maybe it took like 2 hours or something, when I expected it to be like 15 minutes and then either cheating our way through it and just going whatever. I think for this game, having spent an hour 41 minutes here, I basically wasn't sure that I would be able to beat any one stage, let alone getting to stage 5 or 6. And I just assumed that it would feel so hopeless that I would not have any hesitation or qualms about just enabling some cheats to see the rest of the game. Now I'm feeling like, you know what? I don't know. But I guess what we could do before, you know, we don't have to immediately jump to infinite lives, infinite health. We could try just starting from stage 6 to, at the very least, practice that stage, getting a better sense of it. Because at this point, I'm not so much frustrated with stage 6 as being frustrated with needing to have the luck to get up to that point with enough lives left to be able to practice any of it. Because if you get there with like 1 life, there's so much more time before you get to practice it again that you have time to kind of forget the patterns and everything. Because if we are able to practice stage 6 and reach the point where, hypothetically, you know, reach the point of being able to, well, I was gonna say confidently beat the level, that's maybe a stretch, but even just being able to do it, period, then that means that we could start from the beginning of the game and get there with at least 1 extra life, and know that it's possible to beat it, at least. So, I think that might be the next course of action here. Um, 'cause, 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 ' continuing to bang my hand against the wall is I don't know, not necessarily productive. I mean, I know some people would keep at this for 20 hours. I'm not that patient. We do have some other versions of the games to look at later as well, which we might take a look at on Saturday. You know, depending on how this goes, we might have time to take a super quick look tonight. I don't know. But I would, yeah, I just feel, I don't know. That's the thing. At this current point, I think the real reason why I'm feeling hesitant to just keep restarting and doing this is that I don't feel confident that any new attempt or any number of attempts will necessarily lead to getting better at stage 6 or getting closer to the, you know, learning how to beat it consistently or at all, I suppose. So it feels like starting over and doing this. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but it feels emotionally, I guess, like if I just start over, we're just treading water. We're not actually getting anywhere. We're not getting closer to seeing the rest of the game. So even just doing the stage select and practicing it, like once I've done it once or once I get a feeling for it, I'm not saying we would necessarily jump back to doing full game runs. But if I knew that I could do it, I would be much more motivated to actually doing full attempts. But right now, I don't even know if I could do it. Because, you know, we could do the level select cheat and then spend the next hour trying to beat stage 6. And if that is what happens, then I'd be very grateful that I didn't spend more time trying to beat the stage from the beginning. But if it takes 15 minutes and then we beat it, you know, then maybe we'll be able to go back and, I don't know. But I think that's what we're gonna do. Because I'm, at this rate, I'm so eager to just see the final couple of stages too. But I'm also eager to just not be completely stuck. So let's try, if nothing else, we can kind of get a feeling for how that cheat even works. There was that cryptic option to start from selected stage after end or whatever it said. So I'm not sure if, even if we pick, like, maybe without it, you just start from stage 6 and then you die and then you start from stage 1 after that. I don't know. But let's reload the tape here. If the emulator, see, that's a good sign. Let's load it back up and try to level select and see how that works. Is it? Oh, there we go. It's not automatically okay. But I should be able to just. Emulator like should do this by itself. Kind of weird. So for now, let's not do unlimited lives. Let's not do unlimited energy. But we'll start from level 6. After end, start in selected level. That sounds to me like if you press no, you'll do one attempt, you'll game over, and then you'll start back at stage 1. So I'm going to type yes. This could also mean that the stage is going to repeat. And if this stage is going to repeat, that's not the worst, because that means we can do more practice. That's almost preferable. We just have to, you know, after practicing it, we would still just have to reset and determine whether we want to use more cheats or go back to doing full attempts. So I'm going to press yes here, and we'll see how this goes. Pretty good splash screen. Skip that. Do some loading. Hit the 1 8-second music track back here. The music's definitely a little, like, it would be cool if there was more music. I really would have loved the theme song from the movie. The sound effects in game are kind of cool, though. So if we can't have both sound effects and music, I think the sound effects are pretty good. Okay, so let's see how this works then. F7. Level 6, Tangiers. I start with the paint gun. Okay, that's an interesting conundrum. Let's see if the Walter works against these guys. Okay, it seems to work just fine. I'm fucked. Okay. Because I couldn't really roll there. Am I losing? Yeah, I'm losing points for killing these guys. I guess that's the only thing here. This guy seems to go down a lot faster with the gun, though. I mean, these guys die in one hit anyway. Ah. I do kind of wish the game had, like, checkpoints. That would be nice. Okay. Yeah, we still haven't gotten to, like, the arches and stuff in the background, so there's, like, plenty of level left, and we're dead, so... Yeah. Oh, now we get to choose our weapon. Okay. I mean, that's what you get with these, trainers, I guess. Like, the game is not programmed to give you the weapon select before the, like, at game start. Only after beating a level or dying, I guess. Maybe you just need to be hyper vigilant and shoot fucking everything and just take it real slow and wait for them to kind of... Yeah. They sort of come in waves, maybe? Jump here. Then there's a... Ah! Literal opposite ends of the screen. Like... I need to make that jump. It's gonna be on the next roof. Go. Okay, they're going fucking crazy now. Definitely doing pretty well here, though. Alright, guard's gonna come up pretty soon. Enemy spawns are a little cryptic. I didn't mean to jump there, but that's fine. He wasn't where I thought he would be. All the next roof, though. Apologies, I can't really look at chat while I'm doing this. Okay, fuck it. There we go. Dude, look at my damage. Okay. Like, it definitely feels, like I said, like Time Crisis, where you have these dudes, fucking heroes, who show up and shoot, like, the real enemies who actually deal damage. Everyone else is just a time waster. They just, like, drain your health. Then you have a bunch of guys who just sort of pop in and out for a bit. See, that guy is shooting a lot. Background's kind of looping, so it's hard to get a sense of progress. Like, I feel like we're gotten, maybe not as, like, maybe this is not the furthest we've gotten literally, but Feels like it could be. Oh my god. What's up, Malamute? Remember playing this inscrutable game years ago? Yeah, exactly, Jay. You just need... The other guys need to be red. Or the dangerous guys need to be red and everyone else blue. But like early on, I feel like I was kind of onto something with... Dude, that roll... I'm fucked. Like, look at my health. Because we got a, like, fucking machine gun guy there. And then we're already at below half health after, like, the first guard. And I accidentally... Yeah, we're done. We're done. This is a... Well, whatever. So that's the thing, like, yeah, I was doing worse there. But I don't think it was me doing worse that was, like, the actual deciding factor. To have these guys... Yeah, see, like, some of these guys shot a bunch. But I actually don't think I've taken any damage. I got hit there, of course, but... Like, do I scare them off by shooting and then I can move on? Like, kind of hitting the diagonal and then doing like 3 jumps in a row, leaving you defenseless, and potentially spawning one of these dudes on screen. I fucking let go of the D-pad and he jumped like 2 more times. Jumped into the edge and tripped and took damage. Missed the jump. Okay, so I have one slight idea for a strat here, which is make sure that the cursor is always around this height. I kept it down on the foreground guys' height previously, with the thought that I need to take that guy out as quickly as possible. But it turns out, it seems to be the case at least, that that guy won't attack until he is a reasonable amount of distance onto the screen. Which means I can react to him spawning, and then kind of carefully move my cursor down to his level. Because these guys are going to attack, like, faster. See? Okay, I was trying to think there, because I'm playing on a fake NES controller with 2 buttons, and the emulator would let me push any button to shoot. So it's like, wait, maybe I can mash both buttons to shoot faster. But it does seem like the inputs are just stepping on each other's toes, and did not work. Neither's my strat, really. I mean, it's not working. It's not a bad choice to put my cursor at that point, but it's not preventing me from being killed. Nor is it preventing me from getting accidental jumps as I'm trying to move the cursor away from the edge. Look at it, like, listen to the sounds. Like, insane rapid-fire shooting. Like, yeah, one dude can just pop out and shoot me like 3 times. And it's like I just cannot react to it. Alright, if I spawn him correctly like that, even if he does actually attack me, more or less have time to react to it. More or less. He's part of the worst with these, like, open doorways. Because there's more different heights with larger distances between them where enemies can spawn. So if I press F7 now, yeah, start here. Yeah, that guy gets, like, we can kill him with one shot. Oh, I'm using my... Whoa. I never switched to my... I guess the paint gun works. I was about to comment on the fact that, oh, hitting that guy with the paint gun seems to reduce my score. Okay, that's interesting. I was gonna say that, oh, these guys turn brown when I shoot them with my gun, as if I had the paint gun. I was like, oh yeah, wait, I do have the paint gun. So, you're meant to have the paint gun, of course, on the first stage. That's why I have it now on my first life. Maybe I ignore the guys on the roof? So many goddamn enemies! Like, if you get hit once by the stick or grip on the rooftop, then, like, you take so much damage from that that you're oh, I mean, I was gonna say that I'm guaranteed to not beat the stage. Well, I'm guaranteed to not beat the stage either way. But just like an extra bonus 15% damage just makes it more of a foregone conclusion. Oh, man, it's so hard to even keep track. It's hard to keep track how far. Maybe we should try to keep count of those guys. So that's one. My health. We got another red guy. 2. 3. Jump. Okay, we got the jump. This is such a waste of time. I think that's 4. 5. I'm taking so much damage. I'm dead. 6. I feel like I got at least through like 8 or 10. Like, that didn't feel like a good run, even. And that was already 6 of those guys. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Yeah, I can see him. 7. Ah, I got killed. I felt like I needed to go back to that strat of, like, ignoring them to see how that would go. And I'll try that, like, more hardcore now. 1. 2. That's okay. That worked out, luckily. 3. Oh yeah, I didn't change my weapon, that's fine. 4. Yeah, okay. Well, this is gonna work. Cursor. Lost count. Doesn't matter. We're dead anyway. Maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe it felt like I got much further previously, but maybe I never did. See, that's unavoidable. Because if I had done a roll there, I would have bumped into the rooftop edge and taken the same damage. I didn't have time to reach the edge of the screen to do the roll, and then I did 2 accidental jumps, jumped into the edge, and we're dead. You have to play so perfectly, and the game really does not allow you to do that. Okay. You know what? We did what? At least 2, was that 2 or 3 credits? At least 10 lives, if not 15, and I feel absolutely no closer to beating this level than I did getting to it legitimately, which isn't in itself a great feeling, of course, but it's good in the sense that I feel vindicated for going for this strat, knowing that trying to start from the beginning would essentially only have been a waste of time. And I also know that if we start from the beginning, like, infinite lives is not going to be enough to get through stage 6. I would have much preferred to do infinite lives over infinite health, but that's not going to help us. Like, you can't credit feed, or whatever you'd call it, life feed. You can't just brute force your way through a level with infinite lives, because you'll start over from the beginning every life, you know, after every death. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to resort, like, you know, we could start over and try to do stage 7. You know, we should probably do that, actually. Like, I would like to play stage 7 and stage 8 without infinite health to see what they're like. So we'll start over and start from stage 7 so we can see what that looks like. And we'll see if stage 7 is equally impossible to stage 6. If it is, we'll play, you know, 10 or 15 lives of that, I guess, before doing the same for stage 8. And once we have that impression of what those 2 stages are like, we'll start over from the beginning and do a full run with infinite health so we can see the full game from beginning to end. I think that's going to be our strat. So let me reset here again. And see if the game just is impossible from that point. Like, legitimately, I just don't get what you're meant to do. So, unlimited lives, no. Unlimited energy, no. We'll start from level 7. After end, start in selected level. Let's try no and see if we can determine what that even does then. Let's see if we do 1 credit, so to speak, on stage 7 and see if that, after that, we start over from stage 1. If that's the case, then at least we know what this does. So let's say no. Let's see what the Afghanistan level is like. It's unfortunate that it's this tough, because aside from, like, up until that point, I think the game was actually really sick. I mean, it's a little clunky, but it's a lot better than A View to a Kill, I'll say that much. It functions. Okay, F7. Level 7, Afghanistan. Oh, this looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, let's switch to Walter PPK. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much the same here then, I guess. Oh, do I need to collect those, or is that an obstacle? Let's try to find out. Nope, that's an obstacle. Looked a bit like the opium bags. Okay, that's a little tired. There's like just more obstacles to jump over. Definitely getting some Operation Wolf vibes from this. Like, the graphics are like pretty detailed. I think it's cool for sure. Just never ends. Oh, that's pretty rough. Oof, okay. Some tanks and airplanes and shit in the background. So far, this seems more survivable than the previous stage. I guess we don't know how long it is. I like that you can kind of make out that the foreground guys have like camo fatigues. I'm kind of always impressed when, like, I know the C64 has like IRS modes and stuff. You can do certain visually pretty decent things. All right, but in an action game like this, like, I'm always kind of impressed when the C64 games got like, whoops, good graphics. Yeah, I'm dead. With like animation, you can kind of make up what stuff is and everything. All right, cigarettes, bazooka. Try the cigarettes. Like, is that a thing? All right, used it once. Was there even like a unique item for this stage? I didn't pay attention. I wonder if you can use the stage 4 strats, because the background enemies seem way less aggressive on this stage than in Tangiers. Maybe we can... Oh, I missed a jump. Taking big damage, but I don't know if that's from tripping. These guys are shooting quite a bit. That's, like, such rough spacing. Like, you have to make that jump. Like, I'm not positive. Yeah, no, there's nothing unique here. Bazooka, I don't know. All of these are, like, single-use weapons, so... Yeah, they're, like, spaced very deliberately so that you have to... You basically can't use the strats from stage 6. Guys just pop up and shoot and disappear so quickly. I will say, like, one of the things I don't really like about this game, it's like... feels a little... demoralizing, almost. You have to get him... Like, you have to get the cursor on screen, kill the dude, and then, like, really quickly get it back to the edge of the screen, quickly enough that it might be tough to even visually confirm that you have actually killed him. And if you didn't, and you start moving the cursor away too early, then you're going to eat one, if not two, of their attacks. Wow, yeah, I died already. You know, on my first life, I got the impression that maybe this stage was easier than stage 7. I'm no longer on that impression. See, like, that was 2 hits because I misaimed or mistimed. Oh. Alright, cigarette seems great. I figured, like, we should at least kill him in 1 hit, right? But I guess it did nothing? Have I used the mortar any... Like, I'm gonna assume it's the exact same as every other weapon. Well, it looked a little different, but it seemed useless. Like, maybe the special weapons just don't work on the foreground guys? Oh, I don't know. Sad to say that I'm kind of souring a bit on this game. It's still cool, but it's... The playability is rapidly devolving. At this rate, I feel less compelled to start over to do a kind of legitimate attempt. Yeah, I ran into a box and died. Of stage 8. It's like, you know what? We're gonna need infinite health for stage 8. And if not, then oh well. What difference does it make? Can I start over? Let me just double check. Pretty sure I did. Yeah. So, we still started level 7. Play this out, I guess. Oh yeah, paint gun. Well, that works just fine, I guess. It's like so inconsistent. The level of aggressiveness of the background guys. Paint gun is like the best weapon against the foreground dudes. Legitimately kills them in 1 hit. Oh, I pressed up. Okay, guys. Let's do an infinite health run, and we'll see what the game has to offer. But we'll definitely check out some other versions later, too. And given that they're most likely developed by different people and everything, like, even if the game mechanics are the same, there's zero guarantee that the game will play the same in terms of the specifics. You know, how many enemies there are, how quickly they spawn, how quickly they shoot, how much health you have. Like, it wouldn't necessarily take that many tweaks of that many aspects of those things to completely change what the experience is like. Yo, what's up, Atomic Runner? Old game, yeah. Game's bold. Infinite lives shouldn't matter? You know, let's say no. With infinite health, we should be able to do a playthrough. And if we somehow die, we'll start over. That's fine. The game doesn't seem that long. So infinite lives, no. Unlimited energy, yes. We'll start from stage 1. After end, start in selected level. I don't know. Given that the game over doesn't seem to be what they call end, and I guess after activating the cheats, well, like, we never managed to complete a level. So if I type yes for this, for all I know, maybe we will be stuck on stage 1. So let's say no to after end, start in selected level. Bask in the glory of the title screen. Dude, I didn't even notice it before, but you actually have the gun barrel spiral pattern. Like, I guess I didn't pay attention to that being what that was. This splash screen is pretty awesome. The only, like, I'm not entirely sure that what looks like a big lake in the center. The only big lake I remember in the movie is the Frozen one, which is kind of what we're seeing on the bottom left, where he's, you know, popping out the skis on his car. Is there a big lake? I don't know. There's like a little airplane on the right, which I'm also not sure. Is it a helicopter, maybe? Oh, it could be the helicopter. Maybe it's the helicopter they used to snatch Koskov out of his mansion. Well, not his mansion, but I love there's a little signature to JKB on the bottom right. I can see 64 splash screens. So sick. All right. Bond in the car looks like Dalton. I mean, that's pretty good expressive pixel art then, right? This game, yeah, the graphics are definitely really cool. And even then, like the title screen in particular looks pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean the poster, you got it right here. That's the cover art for the game, but the composition is a little different. I mean, they did a great job with it. It looks awesome. It has a unique charm for sure. Okay, let's do it. Gibraltar. So even this, like, I think I might have even tried this with the cheat before, because for this stage, you know, even with infinite health, you need to know the trick to beating the stage. But it's kind of interesting that there's some interesting mechanics going on in the game, but ultimately, stage 1 is the kind of the only one that needs. Well, actually, stage 5, the amusement park, the fairground, I guess they're calling it. That one is a bit unique as well, a little special. And this is kind of relaxing now. I mean, stage 1 is still relaxing. I mean, I'm doing terribly. Like, I'm not paying much attention. The Love Goat. Pretty good name. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. But, like, I don't need to stress out too much about missing jumps and shit. But yeah, so this stage, this is the opening scene of the movie. Bond and a few other agents are doing a training exercise in Gibraltar to, like, test the security measures. But it turns out one of the participants in the exercise is secretly a double agent, and he starts wreaking havoc by actually murdering folks. So you use your paint gun to non-lethally take out everybody, and then you find the traitor. You have to switch to your Walter and kill him. For this stage, it's at night, so without the infrasight, you cannot tell these enemies from the innocent music lovers hanging out. Dude, there's so many enemies here. There's like no innocent. Yes, Atomic Runner. The biggest threat to James Bond's health and safety in this game include boulders, manhole covers, pipes, boxes, and other various obstacles of the ankle height variety, or even lower in the case of a manhole cover, I suppose. In the pipeline stage, which is the next level, you have to roll under some steam. Otherwise, you just have to kind of jump over. Like getting shot by the background guys chips away at your health like a pixel at a time. But if you bump into a thing and stumble, you take, looks like about 1/6 of your health. So like about 15, 20%, something like that. And also, if you trip, that happens. And while you're sitting on the ground, you are fully vulnerable to getting shot. So a lot of the time, if there happens to be a bunch of enemies, your health starts draining. So in case you missed it, I am playing with unlimited health right now, because I was able to make it to stage 6. I was able to make it to stage 6 with like 2 or 3 lives remaining. But after we restarted to practice level 6 using infinite lives. I died. We played like 3 full credits, and I was not able to beat the stage once. So normally, yeah, we have to equip our hard hat, because that makes us immune. Yeah, you have to roll through that steam. The guys on the top floor who throw pipes at us, if you have the hard hat equipped, you will not take damage. So normally, every stage, you do not, like, your health is not replenished between stages. So depending on how much health you have when you complete a stage, that's how much health you have on the start of the next one. And if you die in a stage, you restart the stage from the beginning. So I was able to clear... I think I was able to clear stage 3 with like a pixel of health once, so we got to stage 4. But otherwise, like up to and including stage 5, I was able to clear any of the stages like from full health. But stage 6 is kind of where the game turns impossible. Now that I've got infinite health, it's a little more casual. I can read chat a little better. Is this like GoldenEye where you hold a button to aim versus run? Well, no. This is a one-button game. So the way it works is I'm using the joystick to move my cursor around. And if I put it down here, I can... Well, I guess I can't switch back. I already put the hard hat on. But that's to use your item or switch weapons. And I just push the reticle to the edge of the screen, and he starts running. And while I'm running, I move the joystick diagonally up right or down right to jump or tumble. Or actually, moving it diagonally up left or down left also works, which is kind of fucked because while you are jumping or rolling, you cannot aim. So if let's say I'm jumping over that pipe and I'm holding left, and I can't start aiming or putting the reticle on screen until after I land. But if I'm doing a jump and I hold up left, when I land, I will keep jumping, even though I'm holding left. Alright, we put Koskov in the pipe. Now we're back in England. No, Koskov, thankfully... Let's just see if I time over... Do I get the bomb? Yeah, I do. Okay. Oh yeah, it's useless. So those milk bottles also do a shit ton of damage. So for this stage... The main objective is to kind of take out that guy quickly. Sometimes the background dudes... Wait, is Koskov supposed to be with me on this stage? I have to jump over those craters. That's the end of the stage. This stage is short, but dudes are extremely aggressive and can melt you really quickly. Oh, for this one we need the crossbow. But yeah, even normally, Koskov just... You don't have to care. Alright, we need the crossbow because the balloons are immune to the Walther PPK. So for this stage, we need to shoot 20 balloons with a little cartoon stick of dynamite under them. Not entirely faithful to the scene in the movie, but I think it's cool that they put the scene in the game. And I think it's really cool that they came up with, like, essentially unique mechanics for this stage. So you take damage if the balloon reaches you. But this is like... I've cleared this stage without taking damage before. Yeah, the graphics are awesome. The stages are all really different, and like they really evoke the various scenes in the movie. But I'm impressed that like for a stage with 8 levels with their own totally different look, that they even managed to have any amount of like distinct gameplay in the stages. Like you have the little parallax scrolling, like the foreground items with like a perspective. So the reason this stage is like impossible is that these guys just... Look at how many of them there are. They just melt your health. And this guy, like, he will throw, just like the milkman, he can throw items high or low, and you need to roll or jump over them, or under. And because the jumping and rolling kind of pushes you forward, you can easily end up in a situation where you roll or jump into this gap between... Like, you can't fall down between the buildings, but it's just an obstacle. So if you run forward, this happens. Or if you jump into it or roll into it, that happens. And sometimes you're sort of forced to do it, like if you have to jump over a stick that the guy's throwing, whatever it's supposed to be, you just jump into that ledge and take 15-20% damage. But even if you do that, like, even on my attempts where I didn't get hit by anything, just the background dudes melting away your health, like, will get you killed. So imagine an attempt like that, where you also take an additional 30% damage from unavoidable foreground shit. But yes, Atomic Runner. That's I was speculating on that before we started when I read the manual and just saw what stages are in the game. Because in this scene in the movie, yeah, like this is after he fake assassinates John Rhys Davies, Pushkin, I guess that's the character's name. So that's why we have to use the sleep dart gun, I guess. Like that's not in the movie, but these are just like innocent cops. I mean, that's an oxymoron, you might argue, but he's not looking to actually kill anyone. They just do the fake assassination to convince the other bad guys, or the actual bad guys, I should say, that they have been tricked by their plot. Okay, I think we got pretty damn close to the end of the level before, but even then, holy crap. Okay, stage 7. Afghanistan. I was gonna say this is a stage we haven't seen, but no, we just level selected our way here before. But yeah, again, visually impressive for sure. So this stage seems pretty similar, except the background guys are a little harder to see and shoot, and also the obstacles in the foreground are placed such that the brown guards are harder to avoid. Like, look at this. I have to jump over this, and then he's right there. The jumping, like, it looks really stupid when you just, like, slowly jog into a thing and tumble over. It's not like I couldn't react to it coming. But pushing the cursor at the edge of the screen and, like, tapping up diagonally to jump is surprisingly hard to do with the required amount of precision. Yeah, you have to be so fast. And you don't want to, like, just stick around, because the background guys are going to melt you. The idea of, like, having to push the cursor away from the screen to move, definitely a bit of a liability. You know, if the game had a button to... it wouldn't be difficult on the systems that they had actually made the game for, but a game concept like this, you know, a sort of Cabal NOM 75 style game, where you have control over the screen moving forward, maybe even with some platforming elements, like a side-scrolling platformer where you shoot into the background. I mean, Dick Tracy for the Mega Drive came up. Like, that game has, like, that's a walk-in shoot. You know, it's a Shinobi-like, basically, a Rolling Thunder-like, if you will. Except it has a button that lets you shoot into the background, pretty much just like this. But it has its own button, and it's only kind of a minor element of the game. Okay, now we're in uncharted territory. Whitaker's house. Oh, no item on this stage. This is sick. This is fucking just like the movie. Well, not the actual what's going on here, but the background. Oh, there he is. Oh, do I have to? No. Do I shoot the statue? Kind of what happens in the movies, almost. Maybe I just shoot him 8,000 times. I guess I do. Dude, but that would be so tricky, because you have to, like, move the cursor away and then jump. Congratulations, you've completed your mission. The Prime Minister thanks you. 66,400. Okay. Not the most amazing ending, but... But Stage 8 was cool. I think they did the exact right thing. Like, I thought that Stage 8 might have been a giant, like, assault on the mansion with, like, 8,000 guards or something, even though that's not really how it works out in the movie. This is kind of closer to what it is like, because it's just kind of this small, brief, one-on-one fight. It's cool. I think it's cool when you have, like, a final encounter that is a little less... Like, it's more about the drama than necessarily the challenge or the spectacle. I mean, in the movie, too, like, the final showdown with Whitaker is not the big set-piece fight scene. Like, the scene immediately preceding it with the big airplane shit, like, that is such a massive spectacle scene that part is, I wouldn't say anticlimactic, but it's a much smaller kind of scene. So it's kind of cool that they did it that way in the game, too. So I was like thinking, is that time? Do I? We'll do this. I'll pause the time there. We completed the game. We saw everything in it, but I definitely want to check out at least the CPC version, maybe another version or two. Because I know I booted up the CPC version earlier today, and it looks quite different. So I would love to at least see what every stage looks like in that game. This game was also on the MSX, on the ZX Spectrum, and some Atari computers, I think. So I'd be interested in seeing those versions. So I think we're not going to call this done. I think we'll return to this on Saturday, and we will take a look at some other versions of the game. Because if one of these other versions turn out to be more playable or more completable, maybe we're going to want to do a proper full run, at which point we might have considered today's stream just practice. Even so, with the difficulty spikes of level 6 and 7 notwithstanding, this was both a more playable and completable game than I would have thought. There were like several points when we first reached the stage and we're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are you supposed to do? And once you kind of understand what you're meant to do, it actually went pretty fine. Musically, it doesn't live up to A View to a Kill on the C64, but I like the sound effects. It works well enough in-game. And the visuals, I think, are I mean, easily the most visually compelling game we played so far. I realize that's not a terribly high bar to clear, given that 50% of the games up until this point have no graphics at all. But compared to James Bond 007 on the Atari 2600, and compared to A View to a Kill, the Commodore 64 game, this has way more going on visually, which, I mean, you would expect, I suppose, for a 1987 game compared to an 83 and 85 game. I feel like, you know, if this had a 16-bit version or whatever, which I guess is, you know, the Amiga was around, but you wouldn't necessarily expect fancier systems than this in 87. Although, I mean, you could have done a pretty decent NES version of this. You know, like select to toggle items. You know, A button to switch between running and aiming. B to shoot or jump or whatever. Fuck, you know, that could have played pretty damn well. Though, like, obviously, like, the screen is kind of split into this part, so you could probably have cheated it, but even so, like, certainly by 87, getting this kind of visual, like the parallax effect and, like, the animation, like, it would not have been trivial to put this on the NES for sure. At that time, like, at this point, sure, of course, but... so I guess it's about as impressive looking as we were likely to ever have gotten by 1987. I'm pretty impressed. I enjoy this, and it's coming out of this with a more positive impression than I was expecting, for sure. But it is closing in on 10 p.m. here in Central European Time Zone, which means that we are about to wrap up. I think this is a good place to leave the game for tonight. As mentioned, we will reconvene on Saturday for more The Living Daylights. Keen-eyed viewers, is that a word? Eagle-eyed viewers, whatever. Observant viewers may have seen that we have indeed reached the goal for the next Viewer's Choice versus Fighting Game Friday night bonus stream. This upcoming Friday, however, I have prior engagements, so I will not be available to stream. So we will not be doing this Friday, but more than likely Friday next week we'll be doing versus fighting games. That means that next stream here will be on Saturday. I will be checking out the other versions, I suppose, of The Living Daylights. That's probably not going to cover the entirety of the Saturday stream schedule, though. So we will probably check out some other video games. Now, of course, we can consult the info here. This is our current game, and the next game will be Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the computer game. They're just making these titles longer and longer, which is incredibly impressive. I also love that the Living Daylights game has this, like, basically just the movie poster, because the box looks awesome. And then, like, what the hell is this? The painting is, like, not inept, but it's a little goofy. But also, look at the text, the title. Like, why is it offset like that? It looks so bootleg and weird. But anyway, Live and Let Die, another, what do you call it? I was going to say period piece. It's not exactly true. Not the right word for it, but they wanted to put out another Bond game. There hadn't been another Bond movie, so they went back to an older one. Which is something they would actually keep doing here and there over the course of Bond game history, as we shall see. But what this means is that before we move on to mission number 6, we need to watch the film Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the motion picture. I'm not entirely sure when we will schedule this. I will not have time to do this on Thursday or Friday, so we won't have time to do that before Saturday's stream. Maybe Sunday? I probably want to keep Sundays free. We'll see. I'll figure it out, and I'll announce on Discord. But because I won't want to start playing this until I watch the movie, that means we will probably play something else on Saturday once we've checked out the other versions of the Living Daylights. Assuming that doesn't consume the entire stream. Stranger things have happened, I suppose. In any case, more James Bond on Saturday and at some point in the future. It's music. I think we can say goodbye to this. Let's get some Rolling Thunder 3 jams. Heck yeah. We'll wrap things there, and we shall see who else is streaming, so we can go on a little raid to wrap up this Monday evening. What is happening on Twitch? Let's see. Man, a lot of people streaming, huh? You know what? I haven't rated Duke in a little while. I think he's doing video games. A man of my own heart, streaming video games on Twitch.tv. It's a good time. Oh, he's currently doing research on Super Mario Bros. 2 in an old issue of what looks like Nintendo Power. We played a little bit of that, the Super Nintendo version, the other day. I wasn't super impressed. Not a big Mario guy. Fun though. Let's see what lore we can learn. Let's go say hi to Duke. Thank you very much for hanging out. I'll see you guys back here on Saturday for more Bond action. Until then, take care. Thanks for hanging out, and goodbye.